ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमु रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 19th verse through 23rd verse, 13th chapter. Prakrutim Purusham Chaiva Vidhyanaadi Ubhavapi Vikaranscha Gunanschaiva Vidhi Prakruti Sambhavan Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetuf Prakruti Ruchyate Khanam Bhoktruttve Heturuchyate Purushah Prakrutistho hi Bhunkte Prakrutijan Gunan Karanam Gunasangosya Sadasadyo Nijanmasu Upadrashtanumanta cha Bharata Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti chapyuktah Dehesmin Purushah Parah य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयोऽभिजायते. In 5 verses, Bhagavan summarizes what are the essential aspects of Prakriti and Purusha. So if you are told to write an essay on Prakriti Purusha, using these 5 verses, we should be able to write a good article. In Bhagavad Geeta, how is Prakriti and Purusha defined? Bhagavan said, one thing is, Prakriti and Purusha both are anadi. Both are beginningless. Purusha is unchanging. Prakriti is changing. Not only it changes itself, but it becomes the cause for any change that is happening in this world. Vikaransha gunanshaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. Sambhavan means it is made possible by Prakriti. What is made possible by Prakriti? Vikara. So wherever I see modification, I should recognize there is Prakriti. Then Bhagavan said, when it comes to Karya and Karana, the gross elements and subtle elements, gross creation and subtle creation, Karya Karana Kartutve Hetuhu Prakriti Ruchyate. The cause for manifestation of these two things, Karya and Karana, is Prakriti. But the one who is experiencing it, the Bhokta who is there, that Bhoktrutva is possible because of Purusha. But you have to be very careful here. Huh? Vedanta is not saying Purusha is Bhokta. That Purusha who lends existence to Ahankara, enlivens Ahankara, through that Ahankara, through that reflected consciousness, he becomes Bhokta. Because it is the original, the title of Bhoktrutva is given to the original. Just like sun reflecting in water, and that reflected sun illumining a room. If somebody asks who is illumining the room, we can say sun illumines the room. But really speaking, it is reflected sun. So here also, Bhoktrutva is not an Atma. But Bhoktrutva is not possible without Atma. Atma here is called as Purusha. That's why that second line is there. Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktrutve Hetu Ruchyate. Sukha and Dukkha belongs to Prakriti. The one who is experiencing them, one who is witnessing them, that is Purusha. Modifying experiencer, Ahankara. Unmodified, Ekarasa, one who doesn't undergo any change, illuminator, is Purusha. How did Purusha come to become Bhokta? Because he is Prakrutistha. Purusha identifies with Prakriti. That is why he becomes Bhokta. Purushaha Prakrutistha hi bhunkte Prakritijan gunan. He experiences different gunas of Prakriti due to this identification with Prakriti. Then, what is the repercussion of this? Karanam gunasangha asya sadasatyoni janmasu. Because Purusha comes to identify with Prakriti, he doesn't remain Purusha anymore. What is a new name that he gets? Jiva. Has he really become a Jiva? He has not really become Jiva. Because of erroneous identification, Purusha thinks himself to be Jiva. So he gets a new name. In waking state, he is called Vishwa. So with the conditioning of gross body, consciousness, Purusha gets called as Vishwa. You can give infinite names, different conditioning, different names of that same Purusha. Because of this ignorance, he goes through transmigration. What is the immediate repercussion of forgetfulness of this fact that I am Purusha? I start seeking for happiness. Purusha is of the nature of bliss. And I am totally ignorant about nature of Purusha as Ananda Swarupa. And I cannot live my life without Ananda. So in that mind which has ignorance, what is the first sprout? Desire born out of discontentment. And once desire is there, it will push me into actions. Some action I will do to be happy. Once I do an action saying I am the doer, I cannot escape the results of action. we are not talking about ordinary actions in this life. They are, of course, there. But since several lives, we have been gathering so many karma phalas. And those karma phalas will not quieten unless they give us the result. So if certain karma phalas are demanding to be delivered in some other sharira, without being asked, helplessly this jiva has to take another birth. And not necessary in human body. It could be in any sharira. That is why both words are used, Satyoni and Asatyoni. Satyoni is sattvic forms of life where we can gain knowledge. Manushya Sharira will be Satyoni. Devata Sharira will also be Satyoni. What is Asatyoni? Those forms of life where there are restricted degrees of freedom. More Rajasic and Tamasic, that is Asatyoni. But where was the primary cause of this rebirth? Purusha identifying with Prakriti. That first line looks very innocent, right? Purusha sitting in Prakriti experiences gunas of Prakriti. Second line, Bhagavan says, look at the repercussions. Saying that I am an experiencer means I am signing the contract for rebirth. Vedanta's questions are very simple, test questions. Same tree they will show you. What is the question they will ask? Are you seeing this tree? Are you experiencing this tree? And if you say yes, with the only understanding, means you can say yes by saying, secondarily, I am experiencing the tree through the ego, but as Atma, I am illumining the tree, not experiencing. If I say I am experiencer, that means rebirth is there. That's why we have to be very clear about this word experiencer. Sometimes we use the word enjoyer. Enjoyer means we think it is only with good karma phalas. So if I'm seeing a tree, I don't say I'm enjoying a tree. What do I say? I'm experiencing a tree. So even that experience of a tree is bhoktrutva. That also is bhoga. And if I take that bhoktrutva to be real, my absolute identity, Bhagavan says here, that brings us rebirth. Here we are not concerned about good bhoga and bad bhoga. You are not concerned about good experience and bad experience. What is the subtle point here? Experience itself. So how do I know whether I'm progressing in Advaita Vedanta? I should ask myself, how much unreality I can give to this experiencer? How much negation can I do of experiencerhood? How much negation can I do of doership? That is advancement in Vedanta sadhana. Now, until this point was nature of Prakriti and the result of Purusha identifying with Prakriti. Next verse was indicator of Purusha. One thing to notice, the truth will be indicated first by the most popular method, which all of us are very familiar with by now. What are the two steps called? Adhyaropa Apavada. In Adhyaropa, what is done? Conditionings are superimposed and attention is drawn to the truth. In Apavada, what is done? Conditionings are removed. Now, these conditionings which were added in step number 1, are they real conditionings or unreal conditionings? Unreal conditionings. That is why you can remove it in the second step. These conditionings are an appearance in the self, but we can use those conditionings to shift attention to the self. Now, that is one way of indicating Adhyaropa Apavada. Another way of indicating is called as Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means you are using some conditioning, and through that conditioning, you are indicating the self. It is very similar to Adhyaropa. Tatastha Lakshana is very similar to Adhyaropa. But what should we understand? In Tatastha Lakshana, Apavada is also included. In Tatastha Lakshana, your conditioning is not kept as real. You are still using the conditioning with this understanding that the conditioning is unreal. So one example of Tatastha Lakshana is Atma is Avasthatraya Sakshi. Okay, let me give you an example of Tatastha Lakshana first. If you want to point out to a house, one way of pointing out to the house is that house which had scaffolding 1 week ago, and the scaffolding was removed yesterday. That is Adhyaropa Apavada. Scaffolding you put, you removed that scaffolding, Adhyaropa Apavada. Another way of pointing out to that house is that house which is in front of the blue car. That house which is in front of the blue car. That is called as Tatastha Lakshana. You are indicating the house through the car. What is the relationship between house and car? No relation. But it is good enough to point out to the house. And if you say the house is a 4-storied building, you say the house is 4-storied building, that is Swarupa Lakshana. You are not indicating through something, you are indicating it as it is. If you say the house is not the first 3 houses, that is called as Atadvyavrutti Lakshana. Atadvyavrutti means by negating certain things, you are indicating it. How many things we saw? Adhyaropa Apavada, Tatastha Lakshana, Swarupa Lakshana, Atadvyavrutti Lakshana. These are very beautiful technical concepts. If you understand these fundamentals, wherever we see Lakshana, we will know where it is falling. If Bhagavan is making one statement contradicting it in the next statement, which of these methods he is using? All steps have one thing. Only one step has 2 steps. The first one, Adhyaropa Apavada, has 2 steps. So whenever he makes a statement, contradicts it, that means he's using Adhyaropa Apavada. We will see this in 9th chapter tomorrow, Bhagavad Geeta, where he says, all beings are in me. But I am not. All beings are in me and all beings are not in me. I pervade this entire universe, but I am not there in this universe. So I pervade this universe is Adhyaropa. I am not there in this universe is Apavada. All beings are in me is Adhyaropa. All beings are not in me is Apavada. So that is Adhyaropa Apavada. If some indicator is used and truth is pointed out, which Lakshana is it? Tatastha Lakshana. But careful here. In Tatastha Lakshana, is that indicator, is that conditioning real or unreal? Unreal. So Tatastha Lakshana doesn't give reality to conditionings. It is using the conditioning to indicate the truth. So example of Tatastha Lakshana is the blue car. The house pointed out through the blue car, or Atma pointed out through Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, or Avasthatraya. Those are Tatastha Lakshanas. Then Swarupa Lakshana. Example of Swarupa Lakshana is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda, that is Swarupa Lakshana, indicated as it is. In the house example, 4-story building. You are not taking any conditioning, you are indicating the house directly. Then last one is Atadvyavrutti. Atadvyavrutti is through negation, truth is pointed out. Now there will be overlaps. Meaning what? If you look deeper into Swarupa Lakshana, you will find it is Atadvyavrutti only. If you look at Tatastha Lakshana, after pointing out the truth, you have to do Atadvyavrutti. Because conditioning you have to negate. In Adhyaropa Apavada, you have to negate Apavada. In Shiva Mahimna Stotram it is said, in Atadvyavrutti only, Bhagavan Shiva's true nature can be revealed. But the reason we need to know this is, when you see shlokas like this, Upadrashta, which Lakshana is it? See, only Upadrashta is said, right? So it is Tatastha Lakshana. So Drashta is being pointed out. And Upadrashta means the most proximate seer. Eyes are seeing, mind is seeing, consciousness is seeing. The most proximate seer is the self. Then Anumanta. Anumanta means one who is favorable to mind, senses, just by its proximity. It means he keeps nodding yes to anything. Sense organ says, can I go here? He says yes. Can I go there? Yes. The one who will say no is intellect. Purusha is very easygoing. Anumanta means one who gives permission. But remember, he is Anumanta without undergoing any change. That's why Shankaracharya in Kenopanishad Bhashya gave the example of magnet and iron filings. Magnet doesn't do an action to pull the filings. In its presence, the filings arrange themselves. So, Keneshitam patitam preshitam manaha. Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha. Upanishad mantra, to explain, Shankaracharya said, he is not prompting like a person. He is not prompting like a king to the sense organ, do this and don't do this. Then Bharta. Bharta means one who nourishes body, sense organs and the mind as Sat Chit. Bhokta, one who is the witness of sorrow, that is Purusha. So when you say experiencer, be very careful. He is not experiencing as Ahankara. Like Ahankara, the unchanging experiencer has to be an illuminator only. What is this adjective for? Bhokta is going for ahankara or for purusha? No, in this particular, who is being introduced here in this shloka? Purusha. So if you are to explain bhokta word for purusha, so you have to explain it carefully. If you say purusha is experiencing, experience of purusha is illumining. Means he doesn't get affected by what he is experiencing. On the other hand, experience of ahankara gets affected by what is being experienced. So I hear a good news, I feel happy. Not so good news, I feel sad. So that I is not purusha. I is experiencer who is feeling happy and sad. But the one who is illumining this ahankara, that is purusha. One who is lending existence to ahankara is purusha. Therefore, he secondarily gets the title bhokta. Bhokta word for ahankara is easy to understand. Explain also. But how will you explain bhokta for purusha? So Maheshwara. Maheshwara here, Shankaracharya doesn't translate it directly as Lord, Lordship. He says Maheshwara is somebody who is all-pervading and independent. That independence is his Lordship. Maheshwara is that. And Paramatma. That same Bhokta who is there, one who is illumining this conditioning, is the infinite Lord. Parameshwara, Paramatma, and Paraha. The second line is beautiful. Paramatmeti chapyuktaha dehesmin purushah paraha. You know what this means is, because Purusha is in proximity of Prakriti, don't think that this Purusha is some apara Purusha. Prakrutistaha word was used. He says whatever that might be the case, even if he is in Deha, Dehesmin api, he is Parapurusha only. Unreal Prakriti cannot influence real Purusha. The one who knows in this way, evam ya evam vetti purusham prakrutim cha gunai saha sarvatha vartamanopi nasabhuyo bhijayate. Ya evam vetti. So three things we have to know. We have to know Purusha, but know that Purusha alone is real. Second is, we have to know Prakriti. How should we know Prakriti? That Prakriti is an appearance in Purusha. And the word Prakriti should bring its precise meaning. Starting from Avyakta, all the way till Brahmaji's conditionings. All the objects, mind, emotions, everything is included in Prakriti. And in our transactional life, what should we know? Gunai Saha. How the gunas of Prakriti are and how they express, how to handle them. That also one should know. Know what is Purusha, know what is Prakriti, know the gunas of Prakriti. Sarvatha vartamanopi nasabhuyo bijayate. Doing all his duties and actions, he is not reborn again. Because he doesn't identify with Prakriti. See, the one who knows only about Prakriti, what does Shankaracharya call that person? Mudaha. The person who is being referred to in Bhajagovindam is this person. Don't take Sanskrit grammar only. What it means is any secular knowledge. What is one word for all material knowledge or knowledge of material world? Aparavidya or knowledge of Prakriti. And in this knowledge of Prakriti, if I miss out on knowledge of Purusha, he says, then we have missed out on a great thing in life. And at the same time, see how alert Bhagavan Krishna is. He says, have knowledge of Purusha, but also know how to deal with Prakriti. That is why Guna is Saha word is there. If my mind is in Tamoguna, I should know what to do. Mind is in Rajoguna, I should know what to do. Mind is in Sattva, I should know how to extend it. So Jivan Mukti Sutra is given here. How to be liberated while living, know these three things. Now with this verse, the main teaching of 13th chapter is complete. Dhyaanam, Neyam, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Prakruti, Purusha. 6 topics are thoroughly elaborated. Elaborated in brief, but they are very detailed, really speaking. Now some miscellaneous topics from this verse onwards. Main theme is what are the means of knowledge and what is the result of knowledge. Those are elaborated from this verse, 24th verse, all the way until the end of this chapter. Let's see the 24th verse. Dhyanenatmani pashyanti kechidatmanam anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare dhyanenatmani pashyanti kechidatmanam Sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare. Let us see the literal meaning first. Kechit. Kechit means few people. Dhyanena pashyanti. Through meditation, they see. What do they see? Atmanam pashyanti. They see the self. You can say they see Kshetrajna. You can say they see Purusha. Dhyanena Atmanam Pashyanti. Through what do they see? What is the instrument by which they are seeing? Atmana Atmanam Pashyanti. Atmana here refers to Antahkarana. Atmana refers to purified Antahkarana, inner instrument. Where is this process of seeing happening? Atmani Pashyanti. Atmani Pashyanti. So Atmani refers to Buddhi. So where is knowledge taking place? There where there is ignorance. Where is ignorance? In Buddhi. So this verse has 3 Atmas. Atmana, Atmanam, Atmani, Pashyanti. If you read from left to right, what is the first Atma? How is it declined? Atmani. Atmani Pashyanti. Kechid Atmanam Pashyanti. And instrument is Atmana Pashyanti. So what is Atmani referring to? Buddhi. What is Atmanam referring to? The self. Purusha, pure consciousness. And Atmana is indicating Antahkarana. So in meditation, through a purified mind, in the intellect, they see the self. Then the second line, what about others? Anye Sankhena Pashyanti. Sankhya Yoga, it's together. Sankhena Yogena Pashyanti. Others see it through Sankhya Yoga. What about others? Apare karma yogena pashyanti. You'll say, oh, there are so many ways to see the self. You know, this verse, if you have to understand, you have to read it ulta. It is actually pointing out 4 stations, having gone through which we will come to see the self. What is the first station? Karma Yoga. What does Karma Yoga do? Chitta Shuddhi, the 3 impurities of the mind, Mala, Vikshepa, Avarana. So Mala is removed by Karma Yoga. Bhagavan doesn't mention Vikshepa, antidote here. How is Vikshepa removed by Upasana? Specific antidotes. If mind is agitated, mind is distracted, meditating upon the Lord makes the mind single-pointed. And if mind is very narrow in the sense, it feels lonely. The Vedantic spiritual antidote for loneliness is Upasana. Also called as Chitta Vishalata. Mind expands in the sense that it identifies beyond these conditionings. That is called as Upasana. That is station number 1. But you can put Karma Yoga and Upasana as 1. Or you can make it into 2 also, then it will be few more stations. But know the sequence. First Karma Yoga, then Upasana. Then comes Sankhya Yoga. So Karma Yoga, Shankaracharya gives definition. What is Karma Yoga? Karma eva yoga. He says when our action itself becomes a means to connect with the Lord, that is called as Karma Yoga. Doesn't matter which action it is. And what is his inner mindset? Ishvara arpana buddhya anushtiyamanam. When he feels that every action of mine is being watched over by the Lord, and it is offered to the Lord, that action is called as Karma Yoga. Important point to note here is, minus God, any action doesn't really fall under Karma Yoga. It might be called as Sat Karma, but not Karma Yoga. Sat Karma means good action. But unless I bring God into the equation and say this good action is to please the Lord, that good action is not giving as much Chitta Shuddhi. So because this is step number 1, secondarily you can say the one who follows this step will one day come to see the self. They are sequential stations. Directly he cannot see. Karma Yoga cannot make us see the self. But unless we get rid of Mala, we cannot see the self. Then comes Upasana. After that comes Sankhya Yoga. What is Sankhya Yoga? Bhagavan says, Sankhyam nama ime sattva-rajas tamamsi gunaha maya drishyaha aham tebhyah anyah. Sankhya Yoga means distancing oneself from the gunas of Prakriti. So distancing oneself from mind. In Vedanta term you can say, doing Drig Drishya Viveka. I am the seer, I am the consciousness, and the gunas of the mind, the thoughts themselves, are different from me. I am different from these thoughts. Thinking in this way is Sankhya Yoga. Now remember, this Sankhya Yoga is not Sankhya Darshana. This Sankhya Yoga is our Sankhya Yoga of chapter 2 of Bhagavad Geeta. So in Sankhya Yoga, what will you include? Shravanam and Mananam. Shravanam and Mananam, that is Sankhya Yoga. Then comes your last station. What is the last station? Dhyaanam. Shravanam Mananam is Sankhya Yoga. So Dhyaanam will be Nididhyasanam. That is the first line. Dhyanena Atmani Atmanam Atmana Pashyanti. So different people, it's like in a train journey, if your destination is station 4, if you have already traveled until station 3, you can get on in station 3. You just have to travel one station. But if you are in station 1, you have to get in station 1 only. Then station 2 will come, station 3 will come. Then you will reach station 4. So here Bhagavan is saying there are different people who are at different point in their journey. Some people see it in this way. Some people will start seeing in that way. Meaning what? Some people will see it through meditation. If the final destination is self-abidance, this step which is very close to it is meditation. Means there is Shravanam and Mananam is already done. What is remaining for them is Nididhyasanam. Means erroneous notions to be erased. And some people, they will start seeing to Karma Yoga. What does that mean? From there, they have to graduate one day to Shravanam Mananam. If I'm doing my duty well, my desire for Vedantic Shravanam should increase. If I got into station 1 and I get out also at station 1, that means my journey is not progressing. So this verse is telling us how our journey should progress. If we are doing thorough Shravanam Mananam, what should be the result of that? I should feel an intense urge to sit down and put my mind in the truth. If that is not happening, then either my Shravanam is not powerful enough, or some Rajoguna is overpowering. So meditation time, we should protect it at any cost. Mind will give so many excuses. You might as well prepare for your day, plan for your day. Anyway, your mind gets distracted. At the seat of meditation, why do this? This is that is essential step that is being pointed out here. Now for meditation, Shankaracharya gives a very beautiful definition. What is meditation? He says, Dhyaanam nama Shabdadibhyah Vishayebhyah Shrotradini Karanani Manasi Upasamhrutya. Don't worry about Sanskritam. I'm just reading it so that we get the precise meaning. He says, withdrawing the sense organs from their sense objects. And when you withdraw the sense organs, they become one with the mind. Sense organs are subtle or gross. Sense organs, they are subtle. See, when I say withdraw the sense organ, you cannot physically withdraw anything. You have to withdraw the mind from those things, not have the urge to go out. That is what we mean by withdrawing. When that happens, it is as though sense organs are not there. This is why they say, sit in a solitary place. See, one thing is, eyes, if you don't want, you can close. Ears, you cannot close. If somebody is beating drums or playing some music somewhere, Now you might say, I am the witness of sound, but it will distract. So they say, find a place where you are able to withdraw the sense organs 100%. If you meditate in the afternoon and there is cooking going on in the kitchen, so no sense organ will be open and you'll meditate on the food. Instead of self, some other meditation will happen. So he says, find a place where you're able to withdraw. That is the first step. Manascha, along with the sense organs, withdraw the mind. This point is very critical. Sometimes when we read Drigdrishya Viveka, we feel it's okay to have any thoughts. Kamadhyaha chittaga drishyaha tatsakshitvena chetanam dhyayet drishyanu vidhoyam. He says, what is drishyanu with samadhi? Let thoughts come, you be the witness of thought. And how is Shankaracharya defining meditation? Manascha upasamhrutya. He says that is not a excuse for us for the mind to get distracted. He says, quieten the mind and be a witness of that quiet mind. But is quietening the mind alone sufficient? No, in Vedanta, we should quieten and negate. Mundaka Upanishad class also we saw this elaborately. But note the subtleties of meditation. If somebody feels there is no need to restrict the mind, that is not what Vedanta is saying. Sense organs can go wherever they want. You see, that is not the initial step in meditation. See, exalted step in meditation is once this knowledge is so firm, whether eyes are closed or open, doesn't matter. Open-eyed meditation. Because knowledge overrides perception. But here they say, do the systematic steps. Withdraw the sense organs, quieten the mind. This is where we will struggle. But more we struggle here, we will feel our meditation is effective. To the extent mind becomes calm, to that extent our ability of meditating will keep growing. Manascha pratyak chetayitari ekagrataya yat chintanam tat dhyanam. Every word is beautiful. If you pull the mind back from somewhere, you have to give it some direction to move towards. What is that direction? He says that direction is Chetayitari, means consciousness. When they say don't think of the world, they are not saying don't think about anything. Don't think about the world, but think about Atma Lakshana. Think about Atma Lakshana. I am of this nature. Mind is an appearance in the self. This thought should be entertained. That is why the word is used, Chintanam. Not only Nirodha. Nirodha means quietening. Chintanam means reflecting. What are we reflecting upon? Atma Lakshana. Chintanam. Okay. So it's a very nice verse, but the definitions are beautiful. Shankaracharya gives examples of swan bird. He says, meditate like a swan. How alert it is, how single-pointed it is. Develop that ability to meditate. Or he says, meditate like earth. Means that stillness which is there in non-moving objects. With that stillness, one should meditate. What is the example given in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Geeta? Flame kept in a windless surrounding. Nengate sopama smrita. So like that, this mind should be able to pay attention to the self. Now, if there is somebody who says, Bhagwan, all these 4 steps I don't fully resonate with. Resonate with means what? I feel my mind is not ready to grasp all these subtleties. Shravanam, Mananam, Nitidhyasanam, Karma Yoga, Upasana. Too much to handle. Is there any alternative? See the next verse. It's compassion of Bhagavan Krishna. Anye tvevamajanantah Shrutva nebhya upasate tepi chati tarantyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. Now the conventional journey was given in the previous step. Karma Yoga, Upasana, Sankhya Yoga and Dhyaanam. Now there are some people, Anye, tu evam ajanantah. They don't understand much of these traditional sequential steps. But what is their beauty? Anyebhyah shrutva upasate. Shankaracharya translates, Anyebhyah refers to Acharyebhyah. In whomever they have faith, they wholeheartedly, with lot of faith, lot of devotion, whatever they are hearing, they do upasana of that thing. Upasana means what, I don't fully have this quality yet, but I admire it. To an extent that I pray to the Lord, one day may I come to have this. In 12th chapter also Bhagavan said, last verse, he listed out the qualities of a bhakta. Last verse he said, those who don't have these qualities, but they do upasana of these qualities, they are dearest to me. Same spirit Bhagavan is bringing here. Whatever they are hearing from their teacher, they keep listening to it with faith. Even if they don't understand it. Single-pointed, wholehearted upasana of the teaching. What happens to them? Te api mrityum atitaranti eva. They also certainly cross over samsara. What was their uniqueness? They were shruti parayanaha. They made Shravanam as their main sadhana. Continuously kept on listening, but not listening with doubt. Kept on listening with faith. And not only Upanishads, that Anyebhyah word is there, right? So Acharyebhyah also refers to the texts which these Acharyas have composed. So you'll find in every region, there are saints who have composed the same message in their regional language. So for example, Dasabodh, Samartha Ramdas Ji, same Upanishad, same Bhagavad Geeta, presented in a different language, in a different way. Now there might be a sadhaka who does upasana of that text, upasana of Samartha Ramdas Ji. He says even they will cross over. Ramcharitmanas, upasana of every chaupai, upasana of every teaching which is coming there. And heard from Goswami Tulsidashi, Acharyebhyah upasate. Srimad Bhagavatam, He says, hold on to one thing, we will cross over. No harm in studying many things. Huh? Main thing is, ignorance should go away. Our own duragraha means erroneous insistence on holding on to anatma. That should go away. Whatever reason we might give. This we should do an exercise for us. Huh? I am holding on to anatma because several reasons might be there. Yes, it doesn't matter. Whatever helps us dissociate with anatma and shift attention to atma, that will help us cross over. See, although when we analyze and study, we have these stations and very systematic inquiry. But if you notice closely, our life doesn't work like that. Did you plan in this way that first 5 years I'll do karma yoga? Then next 4 years I will do upasana. Then I will start shravanam, then mananam. It looks as though everything is happening together. But Bhagavan says, look within and ask yourself this question. Am I doing all these things with faith? Am I resisting this teaching somewhere? Or have I wholeheartedly accepted this teaching? If I have accepted it, Bhagavan says, be assured you will cross over. See that word. Te api atitaranti eva. Eva means certainly. Shruti parayana. This word is very beautiful. Shankaracharya gives etymology of this word. What is Shrutihi? Shrutihi Shravanam. Listening to scriptures. Paramam ayanam gamanam yasya. One who considers listening to scriptures as his greatest goal. That person is called Shruti Parayanaha. Moksha Marga Pravruttau Param Sadhanam. On Moksha Marga, this is my main sadhana, one who thinks in this way. That person crosses over. You know, this Anyetu evam ajanantaha is there, right? One who doesn't know too much. That actually becomes a blessing for this person. One who doesn't know too much means what? His ego is mellow. And with mellow ego, if he does Shravanam, he might cross over quicker than a person who knows a lot. Because our obstacle is going to come from the same ahankara. Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaja Prithu, when he sees Bhagavan's darshan, what does he ask for? May I have thousands of years? Bhagavan says, what kind of a ask this is? What are you going to do? He says, I will do Shravanam through all these years. Two things he asks. One is, I want to sit in everybody's heart. Bhagavan says, why do you want to sit in everybody's heart? Because there is so much sorrow and nobody to take that sorrow. So I will take it. How are you going to handle it? He said, give me 1,000 years. So that I can listen to your glory and revel in the truth. So this verse is very compassionate verse of the Lord, where he says, I don't care much about how much you know. Are we having that faith? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.